Hey guys, it's Deneen, and welcome to Story 4 of December Daily 2023. And I'm going to be working with this Alphas Are Awesome #2 stamp set from Ali Edwards, and I'm using Pendleton ink to stamp out a phrase that I'm going to place onto a full page photo. So you'll see I have a whole bunch of different stamp blocks here, and I actually end up using just 2 of them because my decision was to just stamp each letter one at a time. So all the T's, then all the H's, and then all the I's, and so on. So you'll see here that I'm stamping them out far enough away from each other because my goal is to sit and fussy cut these letters out. If you have followed me, I did something very similar to this over the summer in my Summer of Stamping videos where I cut out a saying from a TV show that I enjoy. So I decided that I would do the same thing with this saying. Now you'll see that I am going to kind of fussy cut around all of these super quick just to get them out. And then I'll go ahead and put the phrase together on my desk before I actually put it on top of the full page photo. And so while I'm doing this, I'm leaving a little bit of a white border around the outside. I like that little contrast between the color of the letter, and then it'll kind of make it pop a little bit more on the full page photo. So as I'm doing this, you will see that my phrase is coming together. And one thing I want to point out is that if you are crunched for time or you're not interested in sitting and fussy cutting letters out, you could completely use ink to stamp directly on top of a photo. You can add your text to a photo before printing. You don't need to go crazy. I just kind of enjoy doing this. I find it peaceful and relaxing. But if that's not your thing, there are definitely different ways to be able to do this. So here's my phrase, and it is, "This is why we can't have nice things." And I am putting it on top of a full page photo of the underneath of my Christmas tree, where each day I come home and there are more and more of my Christmas ornaments on the floor. And the one day these 2 Christmas balls were just laying there so perfectly. So I snapped a photo. And this is the phrase I'm using along with that. So you'll see I'm moving them around a little bit here, and then I am adhering them with the ink pen that I have, just because it's a lot easier than doing it with a roller adhesive. And these letters are tiny, so the roller adhesive would probably be coming off the side. So trying to be super careful here. I do make a few mistakes, get a little bit of adhesive on the photo. You can't see it, so again, you just keep moving on, right? So here you're going to see me using a paper piercer tool to remove a blob of adhesive. It was the only one that really kind of stuck out. So very gently, I'm just kind of moving it out of the way, getting it off the photo. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull out a piece of patterned paper from the December Daily collection because I know my photo is not quite the same size. So I have 2 problems here. 1, the photo is already shorter than the paper. And then 2, I think I placed everything a little bit too close to the left edge. So I kind of come up with an alternative plan. I trimmed a little bit off the right side so that it was a little bit more even. And then I'll poke or punch my holes. And then I know on the left now that I'm going to have some space. So I have to figure that out and what I'm going to do with that. But in the meantime, I'm going to start working on the second page, which is going to be a shaker pocket. So here we have an 8 1/4 inch circle that I created in Photoshop Elements, and I am going to be adding a transparency on top of that circle. And I've already done that in Photoshop. This is the transparency. I formatted the words to fit into a part of the circle. I'm only going to use a little bit over than half of the circle. It's not completely going to be half. You'll see it's going to be a little bit more. But I'm going to sew around the outside, and then I'm going to add some sequins and stuff inside to make it into a shaker pocket. And I have these little ornament toppers that I have done with gold foil because I kind of want to make it look like an ornament that's sort of on its side to kind of match with the theme of my whole story. So here it is with my stitching around the outside, and I am going to take this and put it through my paper trimmer because I want to trim it so that there's enough room for some holes and also one more line of stitching. So this is something that I'm just kind of eyeballing here, just from knowing what the space is needed for the holes, and then just one simple line of stitching. So I'll line that up in there. And then I will cut off the part that I am not going to use. And you'll see here that once I'm done doing that, and I take that away, this is a pocket. And if you look here, you'll see, there you go. I'm going to fill that up with some sequins and stuff. So as I'm doing that, I just want to tell you that if you're doing something like this, you want to make sure that you're using flat sequins. I made the mistake here of adding some seed beads in, and I ended up having to empty it out and start over again because the seed beads made it a little bit too bulky for when I wanted to sew that last side together. So I'm just here going through the sequin mix that I have in my little bowl there, and I'm just picking out the flat things. You'll see I stick my ruler in there a little bit to make sure everything is staying nice and flat. Eventually, I'll decide that I've filled up enough, and I will run this through my sewing machine. Let's punch the holes first, though, and you want to stitch inside of the holes. So here we are with the final shaker pocket. My stitching was a little crooked. Again, don't care. I was watching a video the other day of Allie and Lisa chatting before the December Daily first day, and I think Allie had referred to herself as a recovering perfectionist, and that made me laugh because I'm trying to get past that perfectionism too. So here's how it's going to look in the album, and that side over there on the left I need to do something with. So my original choice was to go ahead and get a piece of paper, right? Another patterned paper, and just cut a small piece off of it, which is exactly what I do. So here you're going to see I slice it, it's about an inch thick, and I adhere it to the edge or to the back side of that photo because I want it to be the same size as the paper in the December daily release so that when it goes back to back, it fits nicely. So I do that, and then I add this pom-pom trim. Never used this before, my first year, so it was kind of fun to add this. And my number 4 is going to be felt. So I'll put that down with just a little bit of score tape. And then I'm going to get some embroidery floss here and just kind of accent it with like 3 small X's, just to kind of bring a little more red into there. Because you'll see here, I'm going to put one of the chipboard phrases from the December Daily Kit onto the number 4. It actually says under the tree, which I'm sure originally was referring to presents under the tree, but it fits perfectly with my story because this right now is what's under my tree. So there are your 3 little X's, and I will adhere that phrase on top of the 4. And then I decide that white on the side is just bugging me, and I pull out some other pom-poms. I put a different green there, and I eventually settle on red. So I'll put a little bit more scored tape down, and right next to the green pom-poms, I will add the red. And I think that just made me feel better because that white was just bugging me. And perhaps if I chose a different patterned paper, it would have been better, but I didn't. So it is what it is. Here are my foil toppers. I'm putting it on like a slant. And you'll see there that I also put one on the back side because I want the other side to be a full page photo for my next story. So I want that to look nice too. And then I fuss around here with some ribbon. Pulled out some red and ended up choosing the green. And you'll see I just kind of fuss around with it until I finally decide that I'm happy with it. Takes a little bit, but I eventually do. And you'll see that once I'm done with that, I do end up calling it quits. And let's take a look and see how it looks inside of my album. So here we are, and it's inside of my album. You'll see the sequins are free moving. At the time when I took this photo, they were kind of laying all over the journaling. It's not a big deal. They do fall right down as soon as you lift up the book. But I do like the pom-pom trim on the left side. I like how everything turned out over there. And then if you go ahead, you can see a little bit of a close-up of the shaker pocket. And there you see that the sequins are indeed on the outside and the journaling is able to be read. So that's it, guys. That was story 4, and I'm going to be moving on to story 5. And I'm glad you joined me. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And I hope to see you in my next video.